Brittany, Robin.
Hello, this is Robin Jones. My pronouns she, her. I am the director. I'm sorry. I'm sitting in my office right now with my typical office background. I have somewhat of a violet hair, I guess you would call, is my hair color. I wear glasses. And I have a blue kind of tie-dyed shirt on today. And I am the director of the Great Lakes ADA Center, which is the federally funded technical assistance center on the Americans with Disabilities Act. We're located at the University of Illinois at Chicago. And happy 32nd anniversary, everybody. And I'll put my plug in now. If anybody's looking for anniversary swag, please contact our office. We have some stuff available, posters and other things available. If you're hosting events or anything like that, just give me a shout out or contact our office. We're happy to share with you.
Thank you, Robin. Michael? Michael Kaiser?
This is Michael Kaiser. I'm an old white guy, and I have
please contact our office.
Declining hair that's gray, I guess is the way to put it. I'm an attorney
contact our
representing students who need special education services in schools. And also I have 2 kids who have very significant physical disabilities and that affect their mobility primarily. And I'm not wearing a tie. I'm not looking very lawyerly today.
Thank you, Michael. Nicholas?
Nick Robertson is here and present. I am a Caucasian male with a shaved head and a blondish brown goatee with dark brown eyes. I'm representing the blind ridership of the Chicagoland area through the National Federation of the Blind of Illinois Chicago chapter.
Thank you, Nicholas. Howard? Oh, we can't hear you, Howard.
Here we go. Is that a little bit better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you. My name is Howard Wilson. My disability is blindness. I'm roughly 5'8", African-American male, shaved head, former CTA bus driver a long, long time ago, 2 summers when they had the summer program for drivers for college students. And now I'm a blind traveler using this service.
Thank you, Howard. Mike Connolly?
Yes, I'm Mike Connolly. I'm the Chief Planning Officer here at CTA, and happy to be with you all on this committee meeting this afternoon. I'm a 70-year-old white man with receding hair and glasses. So thanks.
Elsa?
Hello, my name is Elsa Gutierrez. I'm the VP of Scheduling and Service Planning. I have brown hair, bopped with glasses. I'm wearing a denim short sleeve shirt. I'm working remotely from home. And let's see, what else was I? And I'm Latina and use the service as well as plan for it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, everyone. So far, Pam was the only person that wasn't able to make it today. So I'm moving on to the announcements. So far, so as all of you have noticed by now, we are missing a person today other than Pam. Joe has decided to step down due to personal reasons. And while we all miss him and his knowledge, we wish him the best. So saying that, we have officially opened our applications for new committee members. So if you wish to apply, please send me an email at igomez/bureau@transitchicago.com. And the application, you can also find it under our ADA committee webpage. Are there any other announcements? All right, so moving on to the approval of meeting minutes. The meeting minutes were sent to all members prior to the meeting for review. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? If not, can I ask for a motion of approval for April 11th, 2022 meeting minutes?
This is Whitney. Aye.
Can anyone second?
Robertson, second.
Great, thank you, Nicholas. All right, so meeting minutes are approved. Sorry. So on to the public comment. We have one public comment, and I will read it. Our public comment comes from Nicole. She stated, as a disabled service dog handler, I have been denied boarding CTA buses on numerous occasions due to my service animal. It seems that CTA transit personnel are not aware of ADA laws or the fact that service dog handlers do not need an ID card or cage for their animal to be able to ride the bus. Like everyone else, this is an ongoing issue that keeps happening, and I have made numerous complaints. I would like this to be noted at the ADA Advisory Committee meeting. So thank you, Nicole, for your public comment. As a person who is responsible for employee trainings, I appreciate you bringing awareness to this issue. So moving on to our first presenters, CDOT will be presenting on State Lake and Damon Greenlight stations, who will present Mark Walsh and Michael Levy. Let me just pull up your presentations. Are you all able to?
I can see your screen.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Michael Lev. I'm the project manager at Trans Systems, working on behalf of CDOT designing the State Lake Station. I'm Caucasian. I have brownish curly hair that's going kind of gray. I'm wearing a blue light pullover sweatshirt. CDOT asked that I talk about the improvements that are being made to this station that is currently under design. Here you can see a rendering of the new station interior. The station will be totally replaced. And you can see the rendering here, but one of the features is that we'll have a full coverage canopy to better protect all riders from inclement weather. In addition to providing much more space for circulation, making the station accessible, and providing larger platforms. If you want to flip to the next slide. So here you can see a street level view of the station. The station will operate similar to the way it does today, with platforms on both outside parts of the station, where you need to, generally speaking, right now you take the stairs, but for step-free access, you would take the elevator on the side of the street where you're boarding the train. There will also be escalator access on the east side of the station. In terms of step-free access, you would choose the elevator on the side where you're boarding. You can see them here identified on the left side of the screen in blue. If you would like to move to the next slide. Additionally, a new feature of this station will be a crossover bridge where you can, after paying your fare, get from one side of the station to the other. This will also be accessible via step-free via elevator. This will allow for transfers or if you accidentally board on the wrong side, or if one of the elevators is not functioning, this provides redundancy. Next slide. An additional feature of this improvement is an upgrade of the northern mezzanine of the Lake Redline subway station. So the mezzanine that is between Lake and Randolph. This mezzanine will be updated or upgraded to have step-free elevator access as well. Right now, you are able to make a free Ventra fare card transfer between the two. That will continue to be the case where you exit one station and walk on the sidewalk or however to get between them. But this will greatly improve step-free accessibility in terms of providing step-free access at this northern mezzanine. So here you can see on the west side of State Street, this is the elevator for the subway that would go from sidewalk level to the mezzanine level. And if you would like to go to the next slides. Then here you can see the mezzanine of the subway where you would come in the elevator down, go through the fare gate, and then go to a second elevator that would take you to platform level. This is very similar to the setup of pretty much every accessible entrance to the red or blue lines on State or Dearborn. In terms of general upgrades in the station, as the elevated station is totally being replaced, it will be upgraded to have full standard CTA signage, including braille and illuminated signage, as are the new standards for better readability. If you move to the next slide. I recognize this is kind of a complicated slide. Is really just meant to be a high-level picture of the construction process. This project is currently nearing the completion of design and is anticipated for it to be bid late this year, in late 2022, with construction starting in either late 2022 or more likely early 2023. Construction will last approximately 3 years, during which time the elevated station will be closed. Riders will generally be directed to use Washington Wabash, which is an accessible station, although access is also available at Clark Lake. The subway station will not be closed during construction, except for a couple of weekends. We are anticipating that the subway work would happen approximately halfway through the duration of the project. I believe that's my last slide. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Are there any questions on this presentation?
This is Whitney Hill. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I'm not sure if this question might be best directed towards you or someone else within CTA, but my main question is, how will information about the new layout and the accessible routes be presented to riders? I guess I'm more curious about after completion and just that information piece of how we convey this new system to riders.
So I can speak a little bit to what is happening pre-construction. I'd have to defer to CDOT or CTA as to what public information is post-construction. We have been hosting a series of meetings with people in the area, and I know that both CTA and CDOT issued a press release announcing this project.
Mike, I think maybe Irma may be able to fill this one. I know that for previous stations, they've had walkthroughs with the ADA committee after station has been built. So Irma, do you do that still?
Yeah, let me just share screen. Can you see the, oh, this is a Damon one.
Sure, but this is Mike Conley. I'll just answer that question, Whitney, just to let you know, we would do that. We would set up, Irma would set up with the committee here and other members of the community who wish to come and take a look at that. And we'd set up a specific time to do a walkthrough, to go over where the accessible pathways are, where the signage is, all of the details of how to board and not board, in part, as you guys know very well, because you are community leaders and leaders of organizations that can help disseminate the information. So we would take advantage of that as we have in the past. And when like Washington Wabash was opened, we definitely had a walkthrough, and that helped with the dissemination. So Whitney, you would be a part of that, and we would make it a fairly open opportunity for folks to come by.
Thank you so much. That would be great. I know that my committee members, subcommittee members would be incredibly excited to be a part of that and be able to do a walkthrough. And, you know, as we were talking, a few other organizations that I've worked with in the past that but they're housed pretty close to the Redline station would especially be interested. The nonprofits I'm thinking about, their population are largely those who are blind or have low vision. So I think it would be especially imperative to try to get them to have, you know, a walkthrough as early on as possible. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering that. Thank you.
And hi, this is Doreen from MOPD. And I also kind of wanted to tag on to that. I recommend that if CTA's public information or whoever the designated person would be, to reach out to as many as possible of the disability related organizations, you know, with this press release, but more than press release, info on you know, basically you know, everything pertaining to this, because a lot of the disability related organizations have mailing lists, and their mailing lists, they generally put out a newsletter or calendar of events, something like that, monthly, or announcements on a monthly basis, sometimes quarterly. But that would help, you know, get the information, you know, across a broad across a broad spectrum of the disability community. Some may not necessarily be affiliated with this committee. So, yeah, I don't know if that would be your public information department or who, but again, to reach out to as many of the disability related organizations as possible so that they could get the information to their people.
Robertson. Just wanted to straighten out the fact that I believe we're in pre-construction phase. So scheduling a walkthrough is probably 2 to 3 years away. I think that they're just giving us some foresight on the project and what the nuances of the project are. So let's try to stay in the present and not look too far to the future, because that's quite a ways down the road.
Right, but I'm talking more also about planning for alternative routes in the meantime, during the interim, during the construction process.
That's relevant.
This is Whitney, and to follow up on that, I also have questions of through the construction process and for the final completion, will the ride pickup and drop off, will that location change too much from kind of where it is now for that station? Or will that also change with, excuse me, that's my computer, or will that also change with where the elevators and the new routes are located?
I don't know if that question is directed at me. I'm not sure what the ride drop-off is. Bus stops in the area will remain the same.
So sometimes for people who are traveling via Pace or Uber or whatever, there's at some stations there's room, and I think at this station too there's like some room close to the stairs where people typically kind of pull up to like let people out. And so I'm wondering if that configuration will change any.
So obviously pre-construction it won't change. During construction, the station will be closed. So I would anticipate there not to be elevated, drop-offs for the elevated station here. Those would need to be at Clark Lake or Washington Wabash. Post-construction, there will still be some loading zones in the area where people could be dropped off if need be, if that's what they do.
I also kind of want to jump in as we go into different stages of construction. We'll work closely with CDOT so that our customer information is updated and to provide any adjustments that are needed during some either sidewalk closures or shifts. Depending on that, we won't be able to answer that at this point. We would need to see what stage they are in construction and any modifications that are done on the street level or the sidewalk level. And then we would update our information to be able to show where the path would be based on the construction that's done at that time. And I don't know if Tony wanted to add more on that because we do that for our current construction projects that we have in place right now.
Yeah, hi. I should introduce myself because I haven't yet. I am Tony Capoletta, CT's General Manager of Customer Information. And the Customer Information Group includes our graphics department, signage and wayfinding, customer alerts, various publications, cartography, all that stuff. I'll just describe myself. I'm a person of European descent in his mid-40s, identifies he, him, and a lifelong Chicagoan and transit rider as well. What we typically do in situations like this, and certainly in this one, because one, this is a really major station and a really major transfer point, we are going to have temporary signage that reflects where people should go through the transfer process, as well as from the closed station. That'll make sure that people know how to get where they're going. We'll have audio PA announcements for those, of course, who can't read paper customer alerts, both in advance and throughout the work. And we'll have temporary signage through the stations to point people in the right direction for transfer. For example, if you get off the Redline at Lake, right now you would walk toward the North Mezzanine exit to get to Orange Line trains, for example. And now we would be directing you toward Washington Wabash, which is going to be easier to do through the South Mezzanine. So those kinds of things, as we formulate what the ideal plan is for customers to follow and where free transfers are available, we'll make sure that all that information is updated for all riders to the best of our ability, as well as comprehensive customer alert information that will describe changes as they occur in advance to make sure that people have notice. Of course, Irma will make sure that you're on all those lists as we publish new information, so you can share it with community groups and get out to those email lists, as I think is typically how we do that, to speak to the concern raised by the person from MOPD. And then the other thing is that I would just encourage anyone, if you haven't done this yet, you can always check our website for upcoming alerts and what the current status is of things. But if you go and look, you can Google CTA updates, or you can go to transitchicago.com/updates, and you can sign up to get a weekly email about upcoming planned work that might affect your trip. This will certainly be detailed and encapsulated in those weekly emails. And you can also sign up for unplanned alerts and things too that might affect you. We have an elevator list, so you'll just get a text every time an elevator goes up or down. All that stuff is part of that service. And again, if you haven't signed up for CTA updates, it's a really useful tool to keep in touch with things as they happen. And we want to really encourage people to make sure that they're getting that information direct from the source as soon as we can, blast it out to the 10,000 people that we do every week. Hopefully we'll get that number higher.
This is Doreen from MOPD. Quick question
Sure.
to Irma or anyone else. Is Access active again? The message email that formerly used to be called Access?
Yes, Access is active.
Okay, because that's another thing. If I don't know if that would be handled by you or marketing, but an offshoot of what I suggested earlier in terms of reaching out to the disability-related organizations, in addition to or above, aside from providing them with the information, sending them information, encouraging them to sign up for Access so that they would receive the ongoing information. And so that's kind of a marketing piece to encourage them to sign up for that. But then they would be well informed not only about this upcoming project and over the next 3 years, but any other projects going on simultaneously or thereafter. So there you go.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to the Damon Green Line presentation.
All right, thank you. Hello, my name is Mark Walsh. I am a white male with glasses and brown to gray curly hair, wearing a gray shirt and black and gray tie. And I'm speaking from my office this afternoon. And I will give you a brief rundown of what we're doing at the Damon Green Line station. What you see here is an aerial view of the neighborhood looking east. The green line signifies the Green Line that runs along Lake Street east and west. And you can see in the background a bit, there's the pink line that splits off and the blue line that runs parallel in the center of the Eisenhower Expressway. This is a brand new station. There was a station here many, many years ago that was torn down, but there has not been one in recent history. So this is not a reconfiguration or a replacement of something that's there. It's a brand new station. As you can see, it is at the corner of Damon Avenue and Lake Street, about a half a mile north of the United Center. Next slide, please. This is the site currently. The station house will go on this site, which is at the southwest corner of Damon and Lake. Next, please. And this is a brief schematic showing that location. You can see the existing tracks, the CTA tracks running kind of from lower right to upper left. And the dotted line shows where the station is going to go. Next, please. This is just a schematic view of the station house. We've pushed it back from the Damon side of the site so that there's a plaza at the east, and it will be entrance on grade so that there are no steps up or down from street level to plaza to station house. Next, please. Here's a schematic showing the walk-up means to get to the platform. There is a large stairway that goes up to the platform level that is on the eastbound side of the tracks. There is also an escalator that goes in this similar location. Next, please. For step-free access, we have two means, or step-free access is via an elevator at the station house that will connect directly to the eastbound station. For access to the westbound station, that elevator will go up to a bridge level that can then be traversed across the tracks. And then there is another elevator down at the north side to provide access to the westbound side platform. Next, please. Here's a rendering of the station when it will be completed. It's a primarily glass enclosed station, and you can see the stair, and just beyond the stair that goes up to the eastbound platform is the escalator that also services that side. The green truss-like structure is the bridge that connects the eastbound and westbound platforms. And the towers that you see in the foreground and the one with CTA at the top in the background, those are the elevator towers that allow access to the bridge and platforms. Next, please. This is a ground level view of that same station. At the left-hand side is a bus waiting area. There are buses that run north and the southbound bus for Damon. So there's a bus station or a bus waiting area there that's to the far left of the image. The entrance to the station is under the green banner at the left-hand side. That is an on-grade entrance that gets you into the fair area and on the non-paid side, and then there are gates through that will then allow access to the stairs, the escalator, and the elevators. For what we call surge events, because this is adjacent to the United Center, and there will be events where there will be a lot of people using the station. The north side of the station that is directly under the bridge and at the right-hand side of the tower, there we have a surge entrance that has additional doors and additional fare stations so that we can accommodate a larger number of people for those United Center events. Next, please. This is a view inside on the non-paid side of the station house. Typical fare stations here. Behind this view is where the fare machines are, so you can get your Ventra cards at this location. Throughout the station, since it's new, will be completely accessible. The signage will be lit where needed, and all signs at person level will have Braille included. You can see there's accessible gates and narrower gates here too, and kiosk. This is the opposite view from the top of the steps looking down back towards the station. You can see the escalator on the right-hand side and the fare area down below. At the top of those stairs, the main stairs from the station house, there's direct non-step access to the eastbound platform, which you can see here. There's stairs up to that bridge that goes across Lake Street, and you can't see them in this image, but immediately to the right of those stairs is where the elevator is that allows step-free access to the bridge. This is a view of the bridge. This is the south end of the bridge. looking southeast. This is above the tracks and would take you between the eastbound and westbound platforms. View on the eastbound platform looking west. You can see the bridge and the elevators here, and the station house is on the right. And this is just the last view. It's similar to one you've seen before. It's just a dusk view of the station. As far as the progress of the project and where we are in the final stages of getting our building permit. We have a contractor on board and are starting construction as soon as we get that building permit. Our schedule is to be complete in 2023. And so pending permit receipt, we could start any day now. At the moment, the site is fenced off and ready for construction, as is Lake Street on both sides of Damon, in preparation for some track work that needs to happen to support the station and the station house itself.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any questions?
This is Mary. Did you say that the bridge will be covered, or is it just open to the wind or in the winter? Or
No, the bridge is completely glass enclosed. It's not heated or cooled. It is ventilated, but it is protected from wind and rain and snow.
That's good.
This is Robertson. Just out of curiosity, what about lighting in the area as far as what the station slash platforms will provide, as it is on the west side of Chicago near the United Center? After dark is primarily what I'm talking about, since all your pictures were in the daylight.
There's lighting along the bus stop that is at the south end of the site. The entire east face of the station house is glass. That will be lit 24 hours a day. The platforms themselves obviously have standard CTA light provided at standard, required CTA levels. And then there's street lighting along both Damon and Lake Street. We don't have, I don't believe we have light poles or standards in the plaza, but have calculated light levels to be acceptable for nighttime between the station house light and the street lights adjacent.
Thank you, sir.
This is Irma. If there are no more questions, thank you, Mark and Michael, for your presentations. Up next is Customer Service Assistant Safety Training Info Session presented by Jeannie Alexander.
Thank you, Irma. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeannie Alexander. I'm the Vice President for Rail Station Management within Transit Ops here at Chicago Transit Authority. I'm in my office at CTA headquarters. I am the African-American female. I have braids in my hair. I am wearing a navy blue blazer, and I have on a white shirt. As a follow-up, I was invited to speak to the committee, and I wanted to just explain the rail station management protocols, the protocols that we currently have in place for customer service representatives, customer service CSAs, any event of any rail emergencies, and primarily how station personnel can assist people with disabilities if they are on a train or platform in the event of an emergency. So primarily during emergency events, station personnel, they are responsible for reassuring that customers are safe and they are responsible for assessing situations within the stations at the level of the platform, as well as in our mezzanines. Announcements are made via a loudspeaker, and if the station attendant has to make the announcement themselves, they're either making it loudly within the reach of their voice, or they have handheld megaphones if they're required. The customer service reps and customer service assistants, they are required to make the appropriate notifications, as well as provide alternative service options. If customers have mobility devices or they require any additional assistance from the CSAs and CSRs, such as like deploying gap fillers and things like that, that station attendant will handle that. If the CSAs cannot assist someone with the mobility device, they will dispatch appropriate resources, and CFD will be dispatched to assist with any removal if it needs to be from the trains. In addition, the customer service station attendants, they are trained on specific guidelines that deals primarily with communicating with customers with disabilities via standard operating bulletins we have. That's our SOPs. In addition to that bulletin, we also have SOPs that speak specifically to train evacuation procedures, assisting seniors and customers with disability, life safety evacuations of a train, as well as non-safety evacuations. So just walking you through an incident, I just want to just identify that overall the station attendants are to one, assess what the emergency is, make appropriate notification like to our control center via management, and then identify if there's any customers within the station or on the trains that are in the station, if anyone needs any additional assistance, and then we'll assist them with whatever it is that they require, getting those resources to them at that time. Does anyone have any additional questions for me? Wonderful.
This is Robertson. One quick question. Is there anything we can do as ridership if we maybe see a person in a wheelchair get told that, oh, you can't, get off at this stop or in this car because, the person that is attending the station cannot get to you with the gap filler in time? Is there anything that we can do to recognize that situation and make things go smoother?
You know what? Yes, well, I would say we do. We are very careful with the assistance, because if someone, are you referring to someone who is not who's not asking for assistance?
I'm referring to somebody who's asking for assistance, but maybe isn't getting it in terms of relative to their expectations.
Yes, so we have the passenger intercom unit buttons, the PIU buttons that we have that are on the trains. Those would allow you to get the attention of the operators. If they are in the station, we also have the customer call buttons that are on the platform there to at least get the attention of the station attendants so they can assist them better with the appropriate, equipment and resources that we have so they could safely board or alight the trains.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Any additional questions? I thank you all.
Thank you, Jeannie. If there are no other questions, thank you. We will move on to the overview of 7,000 rail cars presented by Robert Kilba, and I will pull up the presentation in a second.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Bob Kelba. I am a Caucasian male with a mustache and what used to be brown hair is mostly gray now after working at CTA for 31 years. And I also have on the line here on Zoom with me Grant Macy. He'll assist and he'll chime in if needed. Gonna start off, we'll just jump to the second slide 2, just kind of our summary. If you don't know, CTA is buying brand new rail cars from a company called CRRC. It's a Chinese company that is actually manufacturing these cars in the Hegewisch neighborhood in Chicago. We have awarded a base quantity of 400 cars, plus we have options to buy like an additional 446 cars beyond that. Those options have not been awarded yet, but they're under negotiation right now. The 10 prototype cars, we've been operating those around CTA since April of last year. It's 10 cars and they went to pretty much every single line in CTA's network. They are currently on the blue line, running in daily Monday through Friday service under test. In addition to those 10 cars, we have received 8 what we call early production cars last month in June. And we're going through the process of inspecting those and accepting those cars. And they've already been accepted and they're expected to go in service on the blue line also. So we potentially will have 2 consists for testing on the blue line. I'm not exactly sure when we're gonna send those out to the blue line, but it might be in the next coming few weeks. And they're gonna be continuing what we call a prototype testing. Prototype testing is gonna continue at least till the end of the month. We run those cars over a long period of time to make sure we find all bugs if there's any issues with the car. And then we can, once we're satisfied that most of the issues have been identified and they're being worked forward to get corrected, we'll end the prototype test and tell the manufacturer that we're okay to start production. Best case scenario right now is if we finish testing at the end of the month, we potentially could start getting delivery of more production cars in a month. A lot of that is right now is just a guesstimate. May or may not happen depending on when we complete the prototype testing. Delivery schedule, once we do say okay to start production delivery, is about 10 cars per month. And ballpark estimate, we'll get all 400 by the end of 2024. So go to the next slide. Just general arrangement of the rail cars. You know, a lot of our rail cars are very much similar or the same. So we try to match, you know, a proven pattern for us. So we just kind of copy things. Door locations are the same. Dimensions of the car are generally the same. Seating layout is a little different. It's 37 seats. Different seat layout I could talk about a little bit later. We also added additional handholds all throughout the train. So every other seat has a vertical stanchion bar, a solid metal post to grab onto. The horizontal stanchion, which is kind of overhead, it has additional grab straps. You know, you have rubber grab straps that you hold on to. These are a little bit improved over the ones we had on our older car series because they are kind of secured so they won't slide. Some of the older ones tended to slide a little bit down the bar. Also, we added a couple of swing down metal grab straps. So these are located right now just forward of the wheelchair securement positions, and also in the center of the aisle, what we say between the number 1 and number 2 doors. Those are the doors at the wheelchair securement locations. So it's actually in the center of the aisle. If you reach up, there's a horizontal pole with some swing down metal handles. Kind of gives you additional options of places to hold on to. And especially because that area is kind of a very wide open area because of the securement space. There's not a lot of places to grab on, so we figured let's optimize that and throw some more handles in there. That's about it for this slide. We'll go on to slide 4. Slide 4, I just have a picture of, you know, some of the cars. This is 7010 that's been in prototype service for a while. Big difference, on the exterior is not that big of a difference. They all look kind of alike. It does have a blue front end, which is a little different. And it also has like some LED accent lighting that loops around the front headlights and the rear taillights. So the front of the car, it has a white loop that's around a white headlight, and in the tail of the car, it's a red loop around the red headlight. So just a little different feature. But in general, a lot of these cars, it's built on the same pattern. So if you're familiar with 5000s, 3200s, 2600s, they're all kind of in the same ballpark, not too much difference. Slide 5. Talking about a little bit about seat locations. I'm going to start at the front of the train. So if you're starting at like the cab area, so I'm kind of dividing it into 3 sections. So there's the front by the cab up to the doors, in between the doors, and the back of the train from the doors to the back of the train. So in the front, there's 4 seats on each side, right behind the operator's cab, and those are facing inward towards the aisle. Similar to, I think, what we have on the 5000s. So then next one back is the number 1 door behind the cab. That's between those 2 doors, we have those swing down handles, which are shown graphically on here. Behind that is the wheelchair securement locations. So on the, if you're facing towards the cab, on the right is a 2-passenger flip-up seat with securement, clamp, and belts. And on the left, we changed it to a single flip-up seat with clamp and belts there also. The thought process behind that is we're doing what we call a 2-1 seat arrangement. So on one side is a 2, the other side is a 1. It gives you a little bit wider aisle space, so allows a little bit better passenger flow. And also if there's a single passenger seat that's behind a double passenger seat, it also gives a little pocket there for standees to kind of tuck behind the seat so they're not obstructing the path through the car. So basically the middle section of the car, like I said, between the doors are alternating like a 2-1 seating arrangement. So on the cab side, it's 2-passenger forward facing flip up, 2-passenger forward facing, a single passenger forward facing, and another single passenger forward facing. And the opposite side of the car is kind of the reversed. It's 2-passenger reverse facing, 2-passenger reverse, and then a 1 and a 1. So that brings us up to the doors. Right before the number 3 and 4 doors, there's 2 aisle facing seats, part of the middle section. Beyond the doors, it's a mixture of aisle facing seats and forward facing seats. So we have right at the door pockets, there's one side has 2 and one side has 3 aisle facing seats. The right side of the car then has 4 forward facing seats. The left side has a single forward facing seats. And we have the 2 single like aisle facing seats like right in the back, kind of tucked in right before the end of the car. Those are kind of nice places. Some people like those seats a lot because they're kind of give you a little bit of privacy. You kind of tuck into the back of the train. Well, that's in general the seat layout. And they're similar seats that we have. We ended up going with a combination cloth and plastic. So the seat bottoms are plastic, the seat backs are cloth. We kind of thought that gives a little bit better. The cloth on the back gives you, prevents you from sliding a little bit, because I noticed like with the fiberglass seats, the all plastic ones, when a train's moving around, you kind of slide back and forth. That's the additional cloth kind of gives you a little bit better ride, I think. Okay, going on to slide 6. Just a photo of the general arrangement, which I described, showing on the 2-passenger flip on the left and the single passenger flip on the right. We do have emergency buttons, very similar to what we have on every other car, the PIU buttons. It has a little raised ring around the button to allow you to find it easily. It's got the braille plates telling you which car number it is, and also the braille signage that tells you instructions on how to use the intercom. And you could also see in this photo the different grab straps and so on. It's about all I have on this slide. Move on to the next. Door system, same as the 5000 series cars. They're pretty quiet, and I think the issue before was sometimes you can't hear the door opening, so you don't know if it's open. We've added an additional chime on the exterior car that's centered over the door. It will, as the doors open, it will start to beep, kind of giving you an idea how to navigate to the door. And it will continue to beep for a fixed time as the door is open, and then it will stop. So it gives you enough, I think, sufficient time to be able to navigate and find out where that door is. Also, there is a door closing chime. You know, if you're familiar with the 5000 series cars, there's like this ding dong type of chime that goes as the door is closing. That is the same sound. Also, there is a light in the door header, very same as the 5000s, that will indicate the door is in motion. It will illuminate before the door starts to open, and then flashes before the door starts to close until the point it's fully closed. So that's it for slide 7. Go on to 8. Suspension system. We have, similar to the 5000 series, we have an active suspension system. The big difference on this car series is we have platform height detection. So there's I think it's an ultrasonic sensor on the outside of the car that shoots down towards the platform, and it detects the platform height. This sensor allows for better height match of the entry step to the platform. It's going to be pretty good, but it may not be perfect. You know, some of the stations may not exactly be built to the most recent standards, and there's kind of a limited range that the actual floor height can go. So if it's, you know, similar to or lower than, it usually matches up perfectly. But if you have a station that may be higher than the threshold of the doorway, it may not match perfectly and still may require a gap filler. So, but in general, at most stations, it's going to be a pretty good match where you may not need to use gap fillers. That's it for slide 8. Communication system, not much different for audio messages. We have 6 interior speakers. 4 exterior speakers, the automatic messages are the same voice of CTA that we've had for many years. We also, similar to what we have on the 5000 series, we have a visual message sign on both ends of the cars, which basically show the text scrolling of what the audio message is saying. A couple of new features we added is we added a visual map display and 2 additional message sign display. So the visual map display basically shows you not the entire system map, but it shows like a chunk of the map. So it shows like maybe the next 6 stations. So it'll show you your current station, and it'll show you the next 6 stations. And there are also some additional information up there which tells you which side of the doors will be opening on. So those are, and then there's 2 little small screens that are installed kind of kitty corner across from each other at the number 2 and number 3 doors. This small screen basically repeats some of the route information, next stop information, and can provide public service messages. And it's also got a fun little display of on-car video. So it reminds our customers that, hey, you're being watched and we're recording video. That's about it for slide 9. Slide 10 is just a visual representation of the visual message sign at the end of the car. You'll see directly in front, it's saying next station is Chicago, and tells you the date and the time above there. That's very similar to what we have on the 5000s also. Slide 11.
Bob, I think it's worth mentioning we changed that color now too.
Yeah, because the 5000 series was more of an amber color. And we started off with amber color, but I think there was some feedback on this sign that there was when the text was in kind of like a white, it was actually provided some more contrast. And it was a preferred version. So the photograph shows more the amber color, but right now it's more white. This is a visual representation of the active map display. It shows basically a strip, a red line that's associated with the red line, or if it's blue, it's going to be blue. We'll show you this stop coming up is Howard, or where you're at, and then it'll show your next stop is Jarvis or Morse or whatever else may be ahead of you, and it will show your end of your route as being, what does that say, 95th Dan Ryan. So that's directly overhead in the middle of the train. So it's a two-sided map. So one sign is it's facing forward and one's facing back. So you can kind of get to that from both sides. It could be read on both sides. So slide 12. It's a visual representation of the additional LCD displays, which are at the number 2 and 3 doors. This one is displaying some information that says your red line run 800 going to 95th Dan Ryan, and this stop is Howard. Plus, there's also additional information that will be displayed on this display periodically. Slide 13. One of the upgrades that we kind of got from the committee in the past was related to express mode. The problem with sometimes CTA having to correct service issues by running some trains express unexpectedly. And I think the thought was that, let's say, hearing impaired persons could not hear the message that they're saying, well, we're going to run express, and where they're going express to. So the thought was we'd upgrade those visual message signs, which are at the end of the trains. So as an operator is told to go express, he'll enter that information into his control panel, and he'll then be able to display a message on those visual message signs that say, okay, this train is running express to Howard, for example. And also the interior route maps that are mentioned, the two-sided sign that's overhead in the middle of the car, that's also going to say express to Howard or other station. And it'll also show the graphic of the map will eliminate all the stops on the map, and it will only show the end stop for the express run. And then also the 2 additional panels at the number 2 and 3 doors, the small panels will also display express to Howard. So there's hopefully enough visual representations around the car that you could see what's happening and be able to make a determination if you need to get off now or you're going to continue with the express run. Slide 14. That's a visual representation of the visual message sign at the end of the cars, and it's displaying express to Howard. So that's basically what we're going to have. Slide 15. Also, this is the visual representation of the LCD signs that are on the number 2 and number 3 doors, also displaying express messages telling you where the next stop is. Then slide 16 is saying the same thing. This is the visual map display showing an express run. This one is showing yellow line in particular. So you're skipping the middle stop. And it also shows you that representation, tells you the run number, express run to Dempster Skokie, and then tells you which side the doors are going to open on next. And that's all I have. Thank you. Any questions?
This is Mary. I have two quick questions. One is, so now you have a lot of new visual information, but will the audio announcements still tell me which side of the train the doors will open?
Yes, all that audio messaging should be exactly the same that you're used to on the other cars.
And could you explain more about those pull down handholds? Are they going to be like close to the aisle so that, you know, I as a blind person might run into this thing if it was pulled down, or are they like spring loaded so that they'll, as soon as someone lets go, they'll go back, they'll fold up back in place?
Yeah, they are spring loaded. They will swing up. And I think, Mary, you said you were short, so you're not going to have an issue.
I'm not going to, but you know, most people are, you know, between 5 and 6 feet. Some of the tall guys are well over 6 feet.
Yeah, I think it's once you get around 6'2", you might have a problem with some of the stuff. It's the same thing with the doorways. You know, the doorways in the train aren't that high. So once you get some pretty tall guys, they have to duck. So,
right. But with the doors, they'll know that they have to duck, but you know, they won't know where this handle is pulled down if someone leaves it down.
Yeah, no, the handle does not stay down.
Okay.
It swings up. It swings up.
That's good.
This is Whitney. I have a couple of quick questions as well. And one actually has to do with the handrail that you mentioned. Out of curiosity, how high up is it? Because it looks like it's higher than the 54 inches above finished floor that's required by ADA. So I'm just wondering in general if there's any, when they're pulled up, how high is that? Will someone have to reach to pull that down? And or if there's any other comparative type of holding like strap device elsewhere in the train at a lower height?
Well, yeah. So yeah, there are various handholds around there. So we're talking about the spring-loaded straps, and the spring-loaded, when it springs back up, it's even with the grab bar. So you have that overhead grab bar. The bottom of the swing down is even with the bottom of that. Further down in various positions throughout the car, we have, if you saw in some of the pictures, we have these yellow like vinyl grab straps. So those those hang down. They hang down about, 8 inches maybe below the horizontal bar. So for shorter people, that's easier to grab onto. For a lot of the people that are shorter or is recommended is the vertical grab bars. So there's bars every other seat where it's on the back of the seat, or sometimes it's in between seats. And those are very secure grab handles. So those can be used for most of your, let's say, path through the car. You can go from side to side to side and reach them, and they're relatively low. So depending on your height, you shouldn't have a problem. So there's options for people of various heights.
Thank you so much for answering that. I completely missed the vinyl grab straps in the picture. So thank you so much for pointing that out. A second question I have has to do with the interactive screens. And I was wondering if the I'm trying to look at the visual display, the bigger visual display that you have. Does that sync up to the, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the correct terminology that you guys use to differentiate the two visual screens that you have. So there's a bigger screen that you have where it indicates which side of the train the doors will open, and then there's the hanging visual display. And so my question is that information synced up? So if on the visual display that hangs down, it shows that there's a picture of that shows you where the routes are, coming up. Does that same graphic show up on the larger display? And if so, does it show up synced at the same time as when the other display gets shown? If I do apologize if that's
okay. My answer is going to be yes and no. Okay, we have the what we call the active map in the center of the aisle overhead, and that's the back-to-back map. And then there's the one at each end of the car, which is what I call the one. I call this one in the center aisle of the map, and the one on the each end of the car is a visual message sign. So visual message sign will basically write out all the text of what the audio message is saying. So if that audio message is saying, this is a Redline train to 95th, it's scrolling that text. Also, it tells you doors open on the left or on the right, wherever. In the audio message, that's duplicated and synced with the visual message sign on the end. So
gotcha.
Technically, the map display in the middle of the car is the same, but it's I don't know if it's exactly synced, but it will, as you change stations, as you move to the next station, it will change the message up there. It will show a little graphic that shows doors open on this side, doors open on this side, and it will show the text for the next stops, and it will move the bar to the next station.
Hey, thank you.
Does that answer?
Yeah, because it kind of sounds like the visual display essentially will never show information that is not also shown in some way on the bigger display.
It's like duplication of information in most areas, but some areas are more information than others. So obviously the visual message sign repeats everything that the voice is saying. So there may be a little bit more, and there's bits and pieces on the other signs, which in a different way to look at it, basically, but a lot of the same information.
Okay, thank you so much for that. My initial concern was the size of the font and that of that visual display, and so this answers my initial concerns about that. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, Bob, if you don't mind, as the digital designer, I could step in and elaborate a little bit more on the middle screen, if that makes sense. Tony Capoletti again, General Manager of Customer Information, and formerly our what was the role called? External Electronic Communications Manager. And so I do most of the user interface and user experience design that we've done over the past several years on some of these newer signs. And so the way to think about the one in the middle is that it is supplemental and kind of like the printed car card maps over the doors. It tries to show a sequence of stops and upcoming transfer information and what the current station is. But yeah, it doesn't present any information that isn't also in the imminent and urgent sense already presented on what's been maintained when it comes to audio announcements and the larger text at the end of the cars. So, while we hope that this is helpful to people and useful information, all the same constructs have been maintained by Bob and Grant's group of making sure that we have in very large text the same information being displayed when the announcement plays, as what these have just a little bit in advance. But yeah, because of the size limitations and what we're trying to do with them, the text does end up a little bit smaller on those, very similar to the car card maps that we're all already used to. But yeah, you still have that really big type at the end of the cars when it says, Clark and Lake is next, transfer to, et cetera, at Clark and Lake. And so nothing's taken away. This is supplemental information.
That's incredibly helpful. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
Thanks, Tony. Any other questions for me? All right. Thanks again.
Thank you, Robert. Our next presenter will be William Trumbull, presenting on the accessible fare gates at rail stations. And I will pull up that slide as well.
Hello, can you hear me all right? Good.
Yes.
All right. So my name is Bill Trumbull, and I'm the general manager of our fare systems. And I'm a 60-year-old white male with short curly hair wearing a very boring brown and blue striped shirt sitting in my office. And my presentation is not nearly as exciting as 2 new rail stations and 400 new rail cars, but I'll try to walk through this. What you see here in this picture is a typical fare array. I think this is the State of Illinois building with the turnstiles all in a row. And then at the far end is what we call the swing gate, or the ADA accessible gate closest to the CA booth. If you could go to the next slide. We had a request when we were building some new stations that we would provide what we now call tall ADA doors, designed to provide wheelchair access to CTA rail stations, and in particular, those entrances that may not be always staffed with a customer service representative. And so the prime example of that would be the Wilson station at the Sunnyside entrance, where it's accessible, there's ramps up to the platform, but there is not always a representative there to provide assistance. And they operate in exactly the same manner as the existing swing gates, with the exit button and the Ventra card tap. But one enhancement is that the exit button is more difficult to reach. So if you spent any time in a station, you'll see that people will just reach over to hit the exit button and then evade paying the fare and just walk through. So this design has really basically 2 purposes. One is to provide access to unmanned or unstaffed stations, and then to make it more difficult to evade the fare with the exit button. So if you go to the next slide, this is a drawing of what it would look like as you walk into it, with some of the technical specifications and the distances. As I mentioned, and I will reinforce, it's the exact same functionality as the lower swing gates that you see. It has a specially designed hinge so that the pressure, I think, is about 5 pounds per square inch in order to open the door, which is exactly the same as the existing swing gates. Next one, I think we have some pictures. So if we talk about stations now, so right now there are 612 turnstiles, the reversible gates that spin. There's 76 high barrier gates on the system, and those are also at unstaffed entrances, and they're like the interlocking gates that swing around. And then we have 121 swing gates, which are the lower ones, that are the accessible gates that we're going to be replacing. And then, but there's 33 stations without swing gates. So those stations are not accessible at all. And we're going to have to address those as we go forward. And then to date, we have installed 18 of the new tall ADA doors. And you'll see the lower right-hand picture is the, I think that's the Pulaski entrance on the green line that has the tall ADA door, which is different looking than the upper right-hand picture, which is the small swing gate. I think we have some more pictures coming up. Oh, so these are the locations where we have installed the tall gates. I won't go through the list, but obviously 95th Street is a big new station and it has 4. The one we have not yet done, like I said, we had 18 installed. We're waiting on some manufactured pieces for 47th on the Green Line. And so that should be installed this month. And then we will have a total of 19 installed across the system. Next. There's the pictures I've been waiting for. The one on the left is the Illinois Medical District. And so that's what it looks like as you walk up to it. If you're going to pay, the card reader, the Venture card reader is on the right, and you could just push that gate open and go down the ramp to the Paulina entrance of the Illinois Medical District. The picture on the right is if you were leaving the Wilson station, and so there's the exit button is there on the left-hand side, and you would hit the exit button and push the gate open and then exit to leave the station. Next. So what our next plan is to purchase enough ADA doors for system-wide installation to replace all of the existing swing gates with the tall ADA doors. The schedule for that is to be determined. We're still going through the contracting issues. And then the one other thing I would like to do is to modify the software to eliminate ride banking. And if that's, it's kind of a nerdy feature, but right now only 3 cards can tap on the swing gate, and then it has to close and lock again. And then 2 or 3 more people can tap, and then it has to close and lock again. And so oftentimes you'll see the customer assistant will stand there and let people through, and then they'll force the gate closed so it locks, and then they can do 3 more taps. We would like to modify the software so that once that gate is open, as many people as possible can just tap on their way through without having the door to close and lock again and then reopen. But that's off in the future. It's a little more complicated. I think that's all I've got. Does anybody have any questions?
Bill, not a question, but for just for awareness, can you just name the stations where the tall gates have been installed already, in case there's feedback or any information? I know they're fairly new, but in case some of our committee members are at those stations and use them, that would be good. So if you can just
can you go back to that? Can you go back to that slide? Yes. And I'll just read them off.
Let's move that. Yep.
That would be great.
Thank you.
So here where the gates are already installed is 95th Street on the north and south entrances, 79th Street, 47th on the Green Line will be installed by the end of the month, Roosevelt on the Orange Line, Morgan on the Green Line has 2, the Merchandise Mart has 1, Ashland Lake Street, the Green Line there has 1, Clark and Lake has 2 installed, Howard has 1, Illinois Medical District at Paulina has 2, Wilson has 1 at the Sunnyside entrance, and Pulaski has 1 on the Green Line, and that's on the north side. So that's the total of 19 that have been installed so far. Thank you, Elsa.
Does anyone from the committee have any questions?
This is Whitney. I have one question. And it might be a little bit too soon maybe to ask, but have you gotten any feedback from those with disabilities who have used or encountered the door? Because initially you mentioned that there's the weight is going to be kept at 5 pounds. But I know that sometimes with some of the older doors, they get kind of heavy. And so in the past, like they would just need to be adjusted. But you know, with the old design, if a door was heavy, there was a little bit more leverage to kind of balance yourself and kind of push the door open. And so I was just wondering if you've gotten any feedback about just the general door design and how those with mobility, I guess, or balance concerns, how they prefer it.
Yeah, good question. So the Wilson sunny side door was installed when that station was initially opened. So it's been there for several years. The two side-by-side doors at Paulina at the Illinois Medical District have also been installed at least 3 years or maybe more. And then the Pulaski Green one was up for probably 2 or 3 years as well. And I am not aware of any feedback from anyone having any issues with them, but I would certainly ask anyone on this committee if they've had any feedback, because we'd love to hear it.
Thank you.
This is Nick Robertson. Quick question about the system omitting ride banking. Are these like revolving doors? How does that work?
No, these are, they're just swing doors, like I said, exactly like the lower swing door that we currently have throughout the system.
Okay.
It's just about, I don't know, maybe 2 feet taller.
Okay.
Otherwise, it operates exactly the same.
Okay. Yeah, so if it's not revolving, I don't think anybody in a chair or with visual impairments would have any trouble with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, we will move on to the Red Purple Modernization Program update by Jeff Wilson. And I believe I'm just waiting.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Great. As Irma said, my name is Jeff Wilson. I am the Director of Government Community Relations for the Chicago Transit Authority. Currently, I am on the Red Purple Modernization Project. And as I have done in past committee briefings, I'm going to provide you with a brief, but very exciting, not as exciting as Mr. Trumbull's update, brief on the Red and Purple Modernization Project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the project itself into the 3 different segments that are happening right now. The first part I'm going to talk about is the RPB, which is Red Purple Bypass Area, which is in the Belmont Redline area, and it continues northwest, actually, along the Brown Line, where we built a bridge that basically untangles the red, purple, and Brown Line tracks so that the Brown Line can now go westbound and eastbound over the red and purple line tracks seamlessly without creating that stoplight in the middle of our track system, which is now in function. So if you haven't had the opportunity to do so, I encourage you to all take a train ride west or eastbound along the Brown Line and see this amazing piece of infrastructure that has been built. With that, I wanted to kind of just give you an update on what I spoke with in the past about the spalling issue that we had on the bridge itself, where the contractor, CTA, and our owner's rep team identified several pieces of concrete that had come off the bridge itself due to a spalling issue where water had gotten into the concrete sleeves and created this issue. Walsh Floor, the contractor for the Red Purple Modernization Project, is currently doing its investigation and coming up with a way to mitigate and correct that issue itself. And I'll have an update on that at the next ADA committee meeting, along with the pictorial presentation of the project itself. So the RPB Red Purple Bypass is doing well. And as we move north along the track structure for the Red Purple Bypass area, we hit the North Main Line area, which is where CTA and the contractor are straightening out the tracks the Redline tracks, basically north of the Belmont Redline stop. And in order to do that, we had to move the historically significant Travers building approximately 35 feet west in order to get those tracks straightened up. That process has been completed. And with regards to the Von Travers building itself, the only thing that we're doing right now with it is still some of the foundation mitigation, as well as the copper restoration at the building, which you can visually see. It's a beautiful polished copper that's been installed that continues to be worked on. And I'll have pictures for the committee once that's completed as well. But if anybody has the opportunity to get up there and take a look, I encourage you to do so. But it's again, a very beautiful building, and the restoration of it is in full swing. So before I move forward with that, I do want to tell the committee that we do plan tours of the Red Purple bypass area, as well as the entire Red Purple modernization project area. In February, we had a successful tour with Laura Salzman from the Access Living group. So if anybody on the team or the committee wants to do a tour, just reach out, let me know, and I'll set that up for everybody. It's quite entertaining. I will put a caveat in there that whoever does the tour is responsible for providing lunch. Just kidding. So at the Von Travers building, we're moving north along the track through the North Main Line area, which that's where we're building the new track structure. We've got new beams and columns being installed, and the foundation for that has been completed as well. So we're going to hop over the Addison area and the Sheridan area and the Wilson area, and we're going to begin talking right now about the Lawrence to Bryn Mawr modernization area, which, as the committee knows, is where the CTA and contractor Walsh Floor are rebuilding four stations: the Lawrence, Argyle, Berwyn, and Bryn Mawr stations. In the first part of 2025 will be fully accessible and completely rebuilt with modern track and structure. So we're very excited about that. The contractor has no scheduling issues since December. So everybody knock on wood, hopefully that'll maintain through the rest of this project up until first quarter 2025, when we hope to have the ribbon cutting for that. The box girders are being assembled by a gantry, and the gantry right now is just south of Catalpa, and then Lawrence to Bryn Mawr modernization area. And they are putting those box girders together. And what the box girders are is basically the gantry lifts up these segment box girders, which the track will lie on, and then they string them together to create the foundation of the track work for the modern structure itself. And that is where we are with the LBMM, Lawrence Bryn Mawr modernization area. And the drill shaft work that we're doing right now for the support structure basically is at Argyle right now. So that's pretty exciting for us. That is it in a nutshell for the Red Purple modernization project. Does anybody have any questions? And if anybody wants any tours, please reach out, let me know. I'll set that up for anybody that's interested. Whitney, you always have a question for me. Please don't leave me hanging.
I at the moment, I don't have a question, but I know for a fact that I was going to get, but the wayfinding subcommittee, they're meeting soon. And so I'm going to definitely run this up the flagpole with everybody yeah. So hopefully we'll get that going. Yes.
Thank you so much, Whitney. I appreciate you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. If there are no other questions from committee members, thank you, Jeff. We appreciate your update. Up
Thanks,
next.
everybody. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Up next is the subcommittee reports. Whitney, I know you just said that you have a meeting coming up. You want to take over?
Yeah, thank you. So the Wayfinding Subcommittee is meeting this Friday, July 15th, and it's going to be held from 12 to 2. It's virtual, so over Zoom. So please feel free to join and be a part of it. Just to give you a little bit of idea of what we're going to be talking about. It's been a little while since we've last gotten together. We're going to talk about those developments that have been covered today. And we're also going to get a chance to, the committee will get a chance to speak and meet with Irma. So we're very excited about that. If anyone is interested in joining, please let me know. We're definitely always interested to have people join. Thank you.
Hi, Whitney, this is Doreen from MOPD. I'm not positive I could make it, but could you send me the information? I'm going to really try.
Yes, of course. Doreen, is there a way that you can, in the chat, shoot me your email?
Well, I'm on the phone.
Oh, okay.
I dial in for my Zoom meetings. So I'm on the, I can just tell it. I mean, we're on the committee. Do you want me to just tell you my email?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Okay, it's doreen.bogus@cityofchicago.org.
And then, I'm sorry, how do you spell your last name? The last name?
BOGUS.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, at?
cityofchicago.org.
Okay, wonderful. Once we get off, I'll send you over that invite. And then, and afterwards, if you have any questions about that, please let me know. And then also, Irma, whenever you get a chance, could you please also send out a Zoom invite for the group for that day?
Yeah, sounds good. Do you mind giving out your email in case anyone wants the meeting as well, or the meeting?
Yes, so you can email me directly at Whitney, WHITNEY, at Sporkability. So I'll spell that out, SPORKABILITY.org. Just let me know if you're interested, and then I can send you the invite to get you linked into the meeting.
Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you.
As well, we have a funding advocacy subcommittee who needs a chair, and a safety and training technology subcommittee that also needs a chair. But I don't believe, since they don't have chairs, that they met, but I will ask. I don't think so. Okay. Moving on to the Facilitators Report, which is my report section. So during these 4 months as CTA, I've come to be knee deep into everything that's CTA and continue to submerge myself even further as the days go by. So far, I've started the ADA employee trainings, being a part of construction review committees, attending community events such as MOPD's Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and have also gone to the Schwab Rehabilitation Center to conduct community bus training to help individuals get familiar with how to use our bus and our bus systems with their new limitations. So my main goal these 4 months has been to get the ADA committee application approved and ready. And as I stated before, this is ready to go as of today. So if you all would like to go to our website and get the application, or also I can email you. Again, my email is igomez-fierro@transitchicago.com. So igomez-fierro.
Irma, it's Doreen. When you say the application, are you talking about the application to apply for the to be a committee member?
Yes, to be a committee member.
Okay, because I know there were some accessibility issues with the online one.
So these are all the Word docs. It's not online. It's not an online. So if anyone.
Okay, so it's the same Word doc that you sent out from before.
Yes, yes. These are Word
Got it.
docs.
Okay.
And if anyone does need help filling out the Word docs, you could send me an email or give me a call. Those both of that information are on the application itself.
Yeah, and I did notice it said that when I looked at the Word docs, it did say that you can contact for assistance. So great.
Great, thank you. And as part of the old business, we still need approval of the October 11, 2021 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? If not, I ask for a motion to approve the October 11, 2021 meeting minutes.
Robertson, so move.
Thank
This
you,
is
Nick.
Mary. I can second that.
Thank you, Mary. All right. So that calls for approval of the October 11, 2021 meeting minutes. For new business, does any member want any topic or has any concern that would like to be added to the October 2022 agenda?
This is Doreen. Just the status of the, if it's not finished before then, the online application for ADA committee membership.
Are you asking for the status of the application, like if it's live or?
Yes, the online one, the one that we had reviewed, and there were that one.
Yeah, so that is a work in progress. If it's live, I will send out emails and make sure that the online application, the embedded online application is functional. But for now, we do have like the Word docs and people can email me directly their completed application.
Oh, right. But since, since the other one was in progress, that's why I was wondering if we can address, that at the next meeting, if it's not done by then.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? If not, I will remind all of you guys that our next meeting will be Tuesday, October 12th, 2022, sorry. And we are not sure yet if this will be either in person or continue on Zoom. But if there's no other comments, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Robertson, so move.
Okay, thanks, Nicholas. Is there a second?
This is Whitney, second.
Thank you, Whitney. Is everyone in favor? Could you say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned as of 3:20.
Thank you.